One arrogant guest, one calm receptionist, and one secret she never spoke of. What happened next turned humiliation into one of the most powerful reveals the hotel had ever seen. The afternoon sun spilled through the tall glass windows of the Royal Elm Hotel, coating the marble floor in a soft golden glow. The air was alive with quiet movement, the hum of suitcases gliding over polished stone, the faint rhythm of jazz, drifting from unseen speakers, and the polite murmur of guests coming and going. Behind the front desk stood Maya Thompson, her uniform crisp, her posture poised. Her dark skin caught the light like warm bronze, and her gentle eyes carried a calm that could steady any storm. She greeted each guest with effortless grace, her smile unwavering even after long hours. But that peace was soon tested when Mr. Collins strode in, an expensive suit, a sharper attitude. His shoes clicked against the marble as he approached the desk, tapping his fingers with growing impatience. "Are you sure you know what you're doing?" he asked, his tone dripping with disdain. "You people usually don't work at places like this." For a heartbeat, the world seemed to pause. The lobby quieted. Maya's chest tightened, but her expression never faltered. With the same serenity she greeted every soul, she replied softly, "Your suite will be ready in just a moment, sir." Somewhere a bell chimed, and yet the air had shifted, heavy, silent, watching. Maya slipped quietly into the back office, the hum of the lobby fading behind the door. The small room smelled faintly of paper and coffee, the kind of place where secrets could rest unseen. She moved with quiet precision, gathering the printed forms from the machine, her fingers steady though her heart still carried the sting of Mr. Collins's words. Her colleague, Jenna, leaned closer, voice barely a whisper. "You should have told him who you really are." Maya paused, the corner of her lips curving into a small, knowing smile. She didn't look up as she replied, "No. Let him think what he wants." Her tone was calm, but beneath it lived a quiet power, the kind that doesn't need to be proven. As she turned toward her desk, the camera of the mind's eye lingers on the wall behind her. Framed certificates, each one a story of perseverance. Bachelor of Business Administration, Harvard University. Founder and CEO, Thompson Holdings, Inc. The fluorescent light caught the gold seal of each frame, glinting like silent witnesses to her truth. But outside those walls no one knew, not the guests, not the arrogant man at the counter. To them, she was just a receptionist, and that was exactly how Maya wanted it. When Maya stepped back into the lobby, the calm she'd left behind had shattered. Mr. Collins's voice cut through the air, sharp, condescending, and far too loud. A teenage bellboy stood frozen beside him, his hands trembling as he clutched the handle of a luggage cart. "Do you even pay these people?" Mr. Collins barked, his face flushed with arrogance. "Or is this some kind of charity project?" The boy's eyes dropped to the floor. Around them, guests pretended not to notice, their gazes darting away in discomfort. The hotel manager hurried over, his voice tight with panic as he tried to de-escalate. But Mr. Collins waved him off with a dismissive flick of his hand. Maya's heels clicked softly across the marble as she approached. Without a trace of anger, she placed a gentle hand on the boy's shoulder. "Go take your break," she said softly. "I'll handle this." The boy hesitated, then nodded and slipped away, relief clouding his young face. Maya turned back to Mr. Collins, her expression calm but unyielding. "Sir," she said evenly, "we don't tolerate disrespect toward our staff." He chuckled, eyes narrowing with contempt. "You?" he sneered. "Tell me what to do. You're just the receptionist." But the quiet in Maya's eyes held something he couldn't yet understand. Authority wrapped in grace. The tension in the lobby hung thick, like air before a storm. Mr. Collins stood smugly, still basking in his imagined victory, when a firm voice broke through the silence. "Ms. Thompson," called the senior manager from across the room, clutching a phone, his tone suddenly formal. "The board is ready for your call." Every sound in the lobby seemed to stop. The clinking of cups, the shuffle of suitcases, even the low jazz from the speakers faded into nothing. Heads turned. Eyes shifted, and for the first time, Mr. Collins' confident smirk began to falter. Maya turned toward the voice, her calm composure unbroken. She gave Mr. Collins a small, courteous smile. "Please excuse me," she said softly. "I have a meeting to attend." "Enjoy your stay, Mr. Collins." Then she walked away, each step measured, deliberate. Through the glass walls of the executive suite, the scene transformed. The nervous manager from moments ago now stood with quiet respect as Maya took her seat, not at the side of the table, but at its head. On the large screen before her appeared the shimmering logo, Thompson Hospitality Group, parent company of Royal Elm Hotels. And in that instant, the truth settled like thunder. Maya Thompson wasn't the receptionist. She owned the place. That evening, as the city lights shimmered beyond the tall hotel windows, Mr. Collins returned to his suite. The same arrogance he'd carried earlier, now dulled by confusion. The room was immaculate, the curtains drawn just enough to let in the last glow of the sunset. On the marble desk near the window, a small white envelope awaited him, sealed with the hotel's gold insignia. He opened it casually at first, expecting a bill or some mundane notice. But inside was a neatly folded note, handwritten in graceful strokes. "Dear Mr. Collins, thank you for staying at Royal Elm. We value all our guests equally. Maya Thompson," his brow furrowed. Beneath the note lay another slip, a donation certificate. It bore his name, though not for any personal reward. The contribution had been made in his honor to a local youth employment program, one that trained underprivileged teenagers to build careers in hospitality. For a long moment, he stood motionless, the weight of humility settling in his chest. Outside the city buzzed with quiet life. Inside, the silence pressed against him, heavy and undeniable. The man who had mocked kindness now found himself humbled by it, taught a lesson without a single word of revenge. The last light of day melted into shades of amber and rose, spilling softly across the tall windows of the Royal Elm Hotel. The city below began to shimmer, headlights weaving like fireflies, laughter echoing faintly from the streets. Inside her quiet office, Maya Thompson stood by the window, her reflection blending with the skyline. Her posture was calm, her expression unreadable, but her eyes held something deeper, the quiet strength of someone who had learned to rise without resentment. Behind her, the hum of the hotel carried on, guests checking in, laughter at the bar, footsteps across the marble floors she once stood behind. She watched it all, the life she had built from the ground up. A life not measured by wealth or titles, but by grace, the power to forgive, to lead with dignity even when disrespected. The narrator's voice, warm and steady, drifts over the fading light. Respect is not given because of what's seen. It's earned by what's within. And sometimes, the person you look down on is the one who built the ground you're standing on. Maya smiled faintly, turning away from the window as the city lights bloomed. Quiet proof that true power never needs to shout. True power never needs to shout. Kindness and humility are the real marks of strength. Never underestimate anyone, for every person has a story, and some stories are far greater than appearances reveal.